What we doing?
Y'all know it takes a special track to do this. I'm Mama P's and Q's dripping sauce. It's just the fluid, it's the chef. I'm here to remind y'all I'm sick with it. My name is stuff that's hot, it's ubiquitous. Meaning it's one and the same, simple and plain. I'm all about my paper, the bacon, cheddar, and pain. I got these lanes running for the border. The talented Mr. Porter, keep it flowing like it's water. But here we go, there we go, creeping to a low speed. Is it him and his friend sitting in the nosebleeds? Play it cool, he ain't special just cause he's on TV. Everybody's hands up, acting like they know we.
Welcome to another episode of the Taste Music Here Food Podcast Show. I am your host, Ed Porter. This is the destination for food, music, and culture, and how they all connect. Today, we have an amazing guest, somebody I've been trying to sit down with for a while. I remember vividly his introduction to the Twin Cities because me being a big sports guy, it was good to see a face like his doing what he's doing. So I'm going to attempt to give you the flowers that you deserve with this intro. Here we go. In the world where highlights meet humanity, today's guest just doesn't cover the score. He captures the soul behind the story. From Southern Illinois to the Twin Cities, he's brought heart to the headlines, authenticity to the anchor desk, and culture to the conversation. Whether in a press box or on their screen, he's repping Kappa Alpha Psi, repping Mizzou, and reshaping what sports journalism can look and feel like. Let's welcome to the show, Mr. Reggie Wilson.
What's up? Thanks for having me. Thank
you for being here. So I do tons of research about guests that come on, and you have such an intriguing story about how you came to be. And I'm looking, I'm like, this needs to be told.
So my story is an interesting one. And the more I tell my story, the more people are like, all right, we're waiting on the book, waiting on you to write the book. And it's interesting because I don't really think about it like that. I just really kind of think of it as my life, you know? So I grew up in St. Louis, Southern Illinois area. My mom's from East St. Louis, if you're familiar with that.
Very familiar.
And so grew up a little bit in St. Louis, lived in St. Louis until my dad passed away in 2004. And then we moved back to the Illinois side, Southern Illinois. A lot of times when you say Southern Illinois, you say anything Illinois, people think Chicago. And I was like, no, just right across the bridge from St. Louis.
Right there.
Yep, right there.
Close to St. Louis.
Right across the Mississippi.
Yeah.
To just the other side of St. Louis. And so growing up, my dad was someone who kind of instilled in me that love of sport. You know, some of my vivid memories are growing up. So it's an interesting deal with my mom and my dad because, you know, they found their way back to each other later in his life.
Mm-hmm.
But earlier on, you know, they were doing the co-parenting thing. And so, you know, vivid memories of my dad coming to pick me up. And, you know, on weekends, we're going to the Y, you know. And my dad was one of the best basketball players I've ever seen, like, bar none. Like, it was crazy. Like, young guys, older guys, they would all come and pickup got intense at the Y, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it was Michael Jordan and my dad. Those were the two, okay? And so, like, I'm telling you, like, my dad was like a dead-eye shooter. Like, you could have your hand in his face. And I think, you know, if his life played out a little bit differently, I do think that he probably could have made it to college and NBA playing ball, or at least pro playing ball. That's how good he was.
Now you definitely got the height.
I got the height.
You got
my mom and my dad 6'2".
Okay, yeah.
I'm 6'4".
You definitely got the height.
Yeah, and so, you know, that's how it kind of started for me. And growing up in the house, so I was raised by my mom, and, you know, it was more like a single mom deal. But, you know, they say it takes a village
Absolutely.
to raise a child. And I had my village. You know, my grandparents, big part of who raised me, my aunts, uncles, you know, all of them are part of my village and, you know, still are. My grandparents no longer with us, but, you know, my aunts and uncles, they're my village. And growing up, either at my mom's house or my grandparents' house, the news was always on. Always. My mom had this thing too. She would pick me up from my grandparents' house after school. We would go home. Don't talk to her in that first 10 minutes of the newscast because she's trying to get the headlines. She's trying to figure out what's going on. So if I'm talking to her too much, she's like, hey, I'm watching the news. Like, give me some time. And so I would watch that. And then, you know, hanging out with my dad, you know, we would watch sports. My mom also was big into watching sports. So we're watching Michael Jordan growing up, those Chicago Bulls teams. Mm-hmm. And then the Rams got big. Greatest show on turf.
Yeah. Marshall Faulk and the crew.
Yeah, so that became a passion to watch the Rams with my dad.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, very early just being like, oh, wait, ESPN? Like, oh. So, like, there's a place that does what I see them doing on the news that my mom and grandparents are watching, but it's just with sports.
24/7.
And it's all the time?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. So now I'm coming home, I'm watching ESPN. I'm watching, you know, all the shows that they're doing. And that kind of grew my love for sports. Mm. And so, you know, my dad passed away lung cancer in 2004. It's crazy because I've now been without my dad more than I've been with him.
Right.
And that's kind of bizarre, you know. My mom and dad got married 99.
Okay.
99. And he passed in 2004. And so before he passed, my brother was born in 2000. And so he was 4, I was 13. And we moved back across the bridge to Illinois, as I told you about, a town called Belleville.
Okay.
Like a suburb, if you will, outside of East St. Louis. And that was kind of where things just started to go. Like, I got into sports a little bit. You know, cup of coffee playing football, it didn't work out. I always wanted to play basketball. I had some skills, but, like, it was never really watered. So, like, I wasn't near, like, the product to play high school ball.
Right.
But I did do track and field. I was a discus shot put thrower. But my story was always, you know, everybody's always like, yeah, you tall, you know, whatever. What they don't tell you is how brittle some of us tall people are, right? And so I kept getting hurt. Mm-hmm. Vivid memory of being in PE class. You know, it gets fierce in PE class. We're playing basketball.
Especially when you're the biggest guy.
Yeah, dude goes up for a layup. I jumped up, blocked it, came down my ankle. Broke my ankle. One of the first few days of track, I'm throwing discus. I'm doing the spin. Crack, crack, knee. That's my whole summer is gone, rehabbing my knee. That was the end of my high school playing career.
Understood.
I love sports, though. And after growing up watching the news and watching ESPN and, you know, all these different sports media entities, that was something that I felt like I wanted to do. I wanted to be around the game, even if I couldn't play it. Mm-hmm. And I figured the best way to do that would be to go into broadcasting.
So now you literally have the best seat in the house, honestly.
Yep.
And you get to, you get to, I think the magic of what it is you do also is you're talking from two different perspectives. So you're speaking from, obviously, from the fan of the sport, but also from the perspective of the athlete and how their vantage point is too, which is, it gives a unique view of sports. All right, right about now, we play a little game. Okay, called One Gotta Go.
Okay.
This one gotta go, we're going to give you a list of things, and then we just got to eliminate one of them.
Oh, man, I'm scared
It's
now.
pretty simple.
Okay.
This one gotta go is going to be the Reggie's Hot Dish Roadmap Edition.
Okay.
I'm going to list them all off.
Oh, man, I'm a little nervous.
St. Louis toasted ravioli.
Uh-huh.
Cincinnati style chili over spaghetti.
Uh-huh.
The Juicy Lucy.
Uh-huh.
Or Dayton style pizza.
Okay. You said one gotta go?
One gotta go.
Oh man, I'm okay. I gotta go Cincinnati chili.
Yeah. Okay, why?
I never truly got into it. So if it's homemade, it's delicious. Our marriage parents used to invite us over, and our marriage mom, Mama Judy, she would make chili for us. Fire. But the commercial places.
Okay, so for people that don't know what we're talking about, so there's everybody knows chili.
Yeah.
And then everybody knows spaghetti.
Yeah.
So yes, it's chili on top of the spaghetti with some diced onions.
Yep.
Usually cheese.
Mound of cheese.
Yeah. And then for some reason they put little crackers on it.
Right.
Which I still haven't.
You can't eat chili without crackers.
Yeah,
but it's over spaghetti though. Already.
Yeah,
So what I was told when I moved to Cincinnati, and I love Cincinnati, one of the best places that I've lived. Very underrated place for people who don't know. I felt like I was just a part of the community there. Mm-hmm. Cincinnati's 47% Black, which you're like, whoa, you know. The chili is something that is an acquired taste. How I was explained, it's not necessarily a dish. Chili is a sauce. Mm-hmm. And so it's meant not necessarily in like the Cincinnati style, not necessarily to just, because my mom grew up making chili, and I would get a bowl of chili, put some cheese, some oyster crackers, go to town. That's not how you eat Cincinnati chili. It goes over spaghetti, over fries, over something.
Yeah, it needs another vehicle.
It's a sauce, yeah. Yes. But the thing, if you don't know, so there's two competing brands in Cincinnati. There's Skyline Chili and there's Gold Star Chili. And I'm not giving away trade secrets when I say this, but if you notice, like the Cincinnati chili secret is there's a hint of cinnamon in there.
Yep. There's some
Gold Star, apparently, they put a little chocolate in theirs.
Okay.
And so that's the thing. It's like a lot of times you're a Skyline person or you're a Gold Star person. You are seldomly both.
Right.
You're not usually both.
Yeah.
And so the Cincinnati thing, when I was like, I heard too, like people sometimes eat chili with the cinnamon roll. And I thought that was a thing. I was like, "What is that?" Like, I've never heard of that. That's new. I've seen it though, and so, but for some reason, the hint of cinnamon in the chili does something.
It plays.
So, but it's not my thing.
Yeah, it's the same flavor profile. There's a little bit of that in the Detroit Coney.
Okay.
The Coney sauce, which is another chili. It's a very loose sauce that has this warming spices in that as well.
Right.
And that's it's an acquired taste though, but it's not. I remember my first run-in with that. I'm in Detroit.
Yeah.
Okay, I see Coney Island. Like, oh, I'm thinking Brooklyn.
Yeah.
No.
A little different.
A lot of different. A lot of different. Okay. All right. Good. I respect that. I respect that.
Okay.
And that was just a little history through places that you've been, which is, I thought that was cool. So we're going to have to kill it. No shade to Cincinnati at all.
Love y'all.
Love y'all. No shade. So it is a great place. My brother just moved to Dayton too.
Okay, love Dayton too.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. All right. When prepping for a big broadcast, which you do so often, and we've had a great couple of years of sports for the city. So this has been great. It's been awesome. Yeah, it really has. Tell me what is the soundtrack that gets you ready for these big events that you are partaking in? And then you travel, like you're part of the team pretty much. Like you're in different.
Sometimes it feels like
you're on the road too. So what are you listening to? What's your soundtrack? What is the Reggie Wilson soundtrack or playlist, if you will, to get you up for the big moments?
So I think it just kind of depends on the mood that I'm in. So for those who don't know my background, I grew up a church boy. Okay, so Kojic. Mm-hmm. So we in church all the time. Okay, and
I'm a pastor's kid too.
So we grew up. I'm always in the church. So I used to sing Sunshine Band, and then I got older. And at the church that I wouldn't say grew up in, church that I grew up in and then the church that I ended up going to were two different churches. But the church that I kind of went into adulthood in, I became a praise and worship singer for the church, and I would lead several songs. And so I'm big on music. So
that was a subtle flex too. I just want to let you know. I saw. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I lead several songs.
Yeah. So I sing. So I'm a singer too.
Yes, sir.
I sang to my wife at our wedding. Like I've sang at so many weddings. I've sang at funerals. I've sang at events. Like I in college, I cosplayed Luther Vandross, and I sang "A House Is Not a Home."
There you go.
That's on YouTube if you want to look it up.
I've seen it.
Yeah. So like I sing. So I think it just kind of depends. It depends like where my mind is. So like it's so funny. My mom, she had the foundation of faith from my grandparents. My grandmother, mother in the church, big time. She prayer band leader for 30 plus years, just missionary in the, big woman of God. And she is who I get my faith rooted from, really. Her brother was a bishop, all kinds of pastors and preachers in my family. And so I think for me, it always comes back to gospel, and, as I got older, I got into other things, hip hop and, R&B. Growing up, my mom always had that God foundation, right? Foundation of faith. But, growing up with my mom, I'm listening to old school R&B in the car. Growing up with my dad was a big Drew Hill, Boys to Men. If he was feeling ratchet, it was Master P, Silk the Shocker, like, that type of stuff. And so, but as I've gotten older, I found what my palate is. Right. And I know I'm being really long-winded with this answer, but so depending on what the situation is, my wife will tell you that sometimes I like to listen to the old school Isley Brothers or, Luther or Boys to Men or, Drew Hill or, some of those things. Some of that is like nostalgia for me. Like, I think it's really cool that RL, I've met him several times, and next they're from Minnesota. Yep. So they just sang the national anthem last week at one of the Wolves games. Those are people that I kind of grew up listening to. But also grew up listening to, Clark Sisters, Bishop Morton, Kirk Franklin, Fred Hammond, John P. Key, so it depends. If I'm trying to get like locked in, I'm putting on, Pandora station, Corinne Hawthorne station will play a mix of everything. Right. Or if I'm really like, okay, I got to get my mind right, Fred Hammond. Or if I'm like, I'm trying to get amped up, it'll be like Lecrae, 1K Few, or some KB, something like that. I love. So my wife will also tell you I'm a big like gospel rap, Christian rap type. Yeah. Sometimes you need someone with a little beat to get you,
some substance.
Get you going.
I get it.
But
shout out to D1. D1 is
D1
is my guy right there.
Yeah. So sometimes I listen to those things to get my mind right, to kind of get the juices flowing.
Yeah. Andy Mineo too. That's my guy.
Andy as well.
Andy's
love Andy too.
Okay, because food and music go hand in hand in my world, and I believe in everybody's world. People just don't think about it that way. What are you eating? What is one of those after a long day? What do you lean on for comfort as far as in the food realm?
Comfort food?
Now I know you're big on your health kick.
But I ain't this big not eating. Okay, I grew up, like I said, my grandmother and my mom are two of the best cooks that I've ever experienced. And, my mom learned a lot of how she cooks through my grandmother. So I grew up, that's so funny, man. How I grew up, my grandparents would pick me up from school. And of course, my grandmother, she was old school. So anytime I get home, it might be greens, cornbread, butter beans.
Oh,
you
was eating
caramel cake.
You was eating night food.
Pie. Yeah. Then I was greedy, so I would eat that, and then my mom would come and pick me up after she got off work, and she gets home, and of course, she wants to make some dinner. She's like, "Did you eat over Mama's house?" I was like, "Yeah, I ate a little something." I ate a lot of something. Yeah, but then she cooked. I'm like, "Well, I'm not about to turn this food down either," So. I think comfort food for me, maybe like some good like fried cabbage and some cornbread, or some greens, mac and cheese, yams, catfish, any type of chicken I will eat. That's my thing.
Chicken is your thing.
Chicken and fish, any of those. I'm not a big red meat person. I might dabble a little bit, on a special occasion, maybe a little bit of steak, but that's not really my thing.
Okay.
I don't really pork ribs. That's not really my thing either. But that or a good pizza from somewhere will also get the job done.
What's your favorite pizza in the cities?
My favorite pizza in the city.
No pressure.
I like Luce. I like I still grew up how I grew up. I'm a big chain guy too, so Pizza Hut pizza is all right with me. But wifey and I, we like Young Joni as well.
Young Joni's, that's right on the corner.
Yeah, that's a good spot.
Young Joni's hits.
Yeah, we like that.
Young Joni's hits. Have you? Okay, there's a pizza place called Elmar's. It's a New York style pizza. It's in Plymouth actually.
Okay, I haven't been there.
It's Yeah, it's legit. It's legit too. As a
New
New Yorker,
say it's legit.
As a New Yorker, and I don't stamp much.
Okay,
that's why I'm saying Young Joni's is legit too. But as just like no frills, just pies. Yeah. It's
okay.
It's they also do bagels too. Like
okay,
you gotta get them. They sell out immediately fast.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure they shipping the water back from New York, and it's crazy. Like dude, it's that's the so. Just in case people don't know, it is a real thing. Anything that touches the municipal water from New York City is innately better. Innately better. And of course, super producer Gabe, he's an Element pizza fan, so we gotta plug Element.
Okay.
Which I have yet to have, which I need to make a stop to have. I heard it's really good. So if you like Young Joni's, you would like Element.
Okay. All right. Cool.
So you're a Kappa man, and your wife is an AKA. Okay, so how do you find a way to have your background being a Mizzou grad and your Greek heritage? How do you make a way to find that into what you do on a daily basis? You're one of those people that seem to seamlessly interweave all of who you are into every facet. Like, you have, hot dish, you have your Reggie's hot dish and everything you do. And you love food. And, I believe your intro video was in a supermarket.
In the grocery store.
In the grocery store.
We were at Lunds and Byerly.
You was at Lunds and Byerly. So I'm looking, I'm like, okay, I like this dude. Because I love the supermarket.
Yeah, me too.
And so it's my happy place. So
and there's so many here in Minnesota.
There's tons.
Good Lord.
There are a lot here.
Yeah.
There really are. And I love them for it. How do you how are you able to do that? Like how, because I believe the greatest storytellers come from an authentic place, and it's less about trying to code switch, if you will, and more about just being your authentic self 100% of the time in everything you do. And that's what I think shines the most about you. So how are you doing that?
So that's a great question. I think for a while I kind of ran from that, just kind of putting myself into different compartments of life. And there was a code switch. And, it's so interesting. I grew up as a person who was kind of shy. I'm still pretty reserved, mild-mannered. I guess you would call me like a extroverted introvert, if you will.
Until that mic is on.
Yeah, when the mic comes on, you got to bring it. You got to come with it. And so I just think my mom always encouraged me to be who God made me to be. And I think meeting my wife and just how out loud she lives encouraged me to just stop doing the code switch and just being my authentic self.
Yeah.
And I think I've really leaned into that. I started my career in Kansas, and I think it kind of gave me a little bit of a foundation. But I had people in my life at that time who I was kind of like working with and working for, who would tell me, like, I vividly remember having a manager say, you know, because I would try to infuse some of my personality into my stuff. And I remember having a manager say, hey, like, you're here to deliver the sports. You're not a comedian. So focus more on that. And so, you know, I would internalize that. And then I got to my next spot in Dayton, and I kept that in mind. And, you know, I'm trying to
the opposite.
heavy on, you know, give the analytical perspective, you know, give the stats, give, you know.
Yeah.
And I had a news director, his name's Kevin Roach, and, you know, shout out to him. He pulled me into the office one time. He was like, Reggie, like, where's the personality?
Yeah.
He's like, what? He's like, you're a young African-American man. Like, where's that? Like,
Yeah.
where's that happening in what you're doing? And that totally opened up my whole thought process and approach to how I did things. Where if you saw me at the grocery store, or if you saw me at church, if you saw me in the community, if you saw me at work, I was going to be the same person. And I kept watering that and kept watering that to the point where I am now. Whereas, like, you know, Black people are not a monolith.
Never.
We are not monolithic. And there's no reason for us to act like we have to be,
right,
or we are. And so at any given time, you know, when I'm doing sports, when I'm in life, it's the same way. You may get some, you know, colloquialisms, you may get some euphemisms, you may get some jokes, you may get, you know, silly, you may get, you know, serious, you may get, you know, it just depends on what I'm doing and what the topic is. But like, what you're getting is authentically me.
Absolutely.
And it took me a long time to lean into being unapologetically me and not being ashamed of this or that part of me and just making that a part of my story. You talk about being a storyteller. That's the most important story to tell. Yeah. Your perspective is what makes your story so important.
Right.
Your perspective is what makes your story worthwhile to listen to.
Right.
And I think one thing that I've learned, especially being here in Minnesota, where this is probably the most different place that I've ever lived, I had to be me, because if I wasn't, I would lose myself.
Right.
And that's important. I have to lean into who I am. I have to be authentically me, because I am Reggie the son, Reggie the husband, Reggie the soon-to-be father, Reggie the Kappa, Reggie the man of God, you know, Reggie the brother, Reggie the friend, you know, Reggie the goofy dude. I am all those things at once.
And the reason why that came up, so I've bumped into you on a bunch of occasions. You're the same dude. No, and you're the same dude on TV though. So it's like that's I know, you know, being in the business that I've been in for decades, that's not an easy thing to do unless you're either a phenomenal actor or that's just you.
Yeah.
And so that shows, it takes an amazing amount of courage and self-awareness to be able to be that vulnerable.
Yeah.
And so I see it, I recognize it, I commend you for it.
Yeah, and when you're on TV, that was one thing I had to learn as well. I would grow up like really just loving people like Stuart Scott on ESPN, like loving people, you know, television's John Butchie Gross,
Mm-hmm.
call himself Bucci Man. You know, like people have personalities.
Yes, absolutely.
And people lean, and Stuart Scott was a big person who just leaned into
100%.
If you listen to any of Gus Johnson's calls,
Mm-hmm.
you know, he got big doing March Madness. He you know, just
Chris
going
Berman's
crazy.
another one.
Chris
Yeah.
Berman,
Yeah.
you know, all kinds of personality.
Yeah.
And that was something that I'm like, okay, those dudes are not afraid to be themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Let me lean into that with who I am. And it got to the point where, you know, at first, you know, they say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you emulate some of those people, but I can't say stuff like, oh, you know, Carl Anthony Towns cooler than the other side of the pillow. Like that's not me. You know, that's Stu.
Right.
That's Stu. Booyah, like that's Stu.
Right.
You know, but I have my own isms, my own, you know, you might get some pop culture references. You might get, you know, some references to TV shows or you know, church isms, or, you know, instead of me, you know, people watch my sportscasts and, you know, say, hey, it's his third home run of the season. I might say, man, he hit that thing to Eden Prairie,
Mm-hmm.
you know, on a home run call or something like that. Just something that's just me.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's needed. Talk to me about, you know, you're a visible Black voice, and let's be honest, a space that hasn't made a lot of room for, or always made a lot of room for, diverse storytellers. How do you carry that responsibility and reflect it into your work? Now, and the reason why I use the word responsibility, because no matter how much you would shy away from that, as people of color, we have this unspoken sense of responsibility. I know I feel it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Specifically someone that is visible in the public eye, or I don't care if you weren't. It's if you're in a position that is abnormal for the, you know, whatever that is, you feel this unspoken responsibility to represent in a way that is beneficial to others, specifically youth. So how do you deal with that?
That's such a heavy question.
Especially being a person of yourself that is deep into the community. So you do a lot in the community because of those things.
That's such a heavy question. Man. So coming to Minnesota, this was probably the most high-profile job that I've ever had. And you look around, and it's not a whole lot of people who look like me in roles that I occupy.
Right.
That's a heavy responsibility, but also at times a heavy burden.
Sports director. So in case that it hasn't, he's the sports director. It's up on the screen, but it's important to audibly hear it.
You know, it was funny because, you know, and I'm not even trying to go there, but with Black people, we are often made to be humble, and there are often opportunities that people take to try to humble us. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I would say, oh, yeah, you know, people would get introduced to me. I was like, oh, yeah, I do sports at KARE 11. And I remember when my wife heard that on too many occasions, I guess, she was like, Reggie, you are the sports director at KARE 11.
It's a difference.
She's like, you need to start saying that with pride. And I'm like, yeah, but, you know, I am. She's like, no, that is your title. Mm-hmm. It means something. And, you know, when I first got here, there was, don't read the comment section. There was announcements about me coming here. And if you read the comment section on the Strip, on Facebook, nasty. And my mom, bless her, she read all of them. And I had to stop because I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I haven't even gotten there yet. Like, they haven't even given me a chance. And, you know, I'm already getting told I'm the diversity hire. You know, we know why he got the job. It's like, dang, like, has being black ever been an advantageous thing in society? Because that would be news to me.
I missed that email, yeah.
And so getting here, I had that, and I that was in my mind, and that stifled me a bit out of the gates, just being real. And I think internalizing that too much and the imposter syndrome of it all really, really held me back for my first about 6 months, to the point where I had internalized it so much. I called my wife. I was like, hey, you know, I appreciate this opportunity, but I think I'm good. I think I'm going to tell him, like, I'm good. I don't want this anymore. And she was just like, let me talk to God about it. She's like, don't do that. And she was just like, you know, God told me that's not the move for you. And I was like, girl, he didn't tell me that, you know. So. And true enough, God spoke through her in that moment to tell me not to give up. And yes, it's been hard. Yes, it was a lot to sift through. But it's been beneficial. And I do believe that God put me in this position for a reason. And it's so funny you asked that question, because I would go into these press conferences. I would go into these rooms, look around. Ooh, I'm the only black person in here other than the athlete at the podium right now. And I would see myself and feel myself in that room. And it took a while for me to just get comfortable enough to just say, yeah, I'm occupying this room.
Right.
And that's what it is. So be confident in that, because everybody else in this room is confident in who they are. So you be confident in that. Yeah, you might be the only, but that's all right. Lean into it.
Right.
And, you know, it's taken a while for me to really get my feet set and really just own the position I have and the person who I am as I'm occupying these rooms.
Right.
And we talk about visibility. I don't know that there's a more visible sports media person than me in the Twin Cities right now.
No.
And that's a bit jarring. Like, I can't go to the grocery store without people being like, hey, we love watching you. And I'm just like, wow, like, that's crazy.
The reason why I asked that question is because we were just talking about you as a kid watching Stuart Scott. You're Stuart Scott.
Okay.
No. As far as, you got to think about, really lean into the fact of there's a kid that comes home from school and turns
kids
on the TV.
Kids watching the news, though?
Kids watch the news.
Okay.
Yeah, whenever they can. And it's you know, it's on social now. You know, it's not like we used to watch the news,
right.
But you are the example. So it is important to see you carry yourself the way you do. You're knowledgeable. You're well spoken. And all these things sound like, oh well, it's not about the fact of what they are. The fact is, you are the example of possibility.
And that's so when you talk about the balance of it being a burden with the balance of it being a responsibility, I think that's where I lean more towards the responsibility, because I am one of very few in this industry.
Oh yeah,
who look like me
nationally
doing this role. Yeah. And I gotta represent. You know, I gotta, representation is everything. And if there's a young kid on TV who looks like me, who likes what I do, who is inspired by what I do, I have made the difference, because I have showed that person that this is what is attainable if you work hard, if you get a few favorable bounces from the good Lord above, and you take advantage of the opportunities that you're given.
And just be a good dude. So the other side of that coin is too, for specifically in inner cities, there's usually one or two ways out. People think, it's gonna be this. You could be on the other side of that ball. You don't even have to ever touch foot on the court unless it is to cover the game. And you can still be around things that you love, and there's another way to skin that cat.
Yeah.
When it really hit for me, I didn't really realize, I don't think that most creatives and people that just doers really take a minute to understand their impact. So I've done my fair share of stuff, but this last thing I did on Netflix with the pressure cooker, I was getting so many messages from, I had to hit the translate button on an IG, and an overwhelming amount of those messages were from young Black kids that, or their parents, saying that they appreciated how I conducted myself.
Wow.
And my whole thing, I've been on record saying this, I went on to be 100% authentically myself 100% of the time, because no matter how it shook out, I could live with the results of whatever happened after that. And that to me was powerful, that people saw themselves or the possibility of themselves in what I was doing.
Yeah.
I never thought, I don't take myself too seriously. It's like,
me neither.
So it's like, I'm just, anybody can do this.
Yeah.
So
I'm just a vessel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm just walking in my purpose.
Yeah.
100%. Yep. I'm also, and if you haven't heard that, or I wanted you to really soak that in, because it's a real thing, Reggie. Like you're that guy right now. So you have to understand that people are looking at you, and not all of it gets written in the comments. There's somebody that is really, you are changing their view of what could be.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Wow. Yeah, I appreciate the love, man. It's humbling. But it's also gratifying. I do understand the responsibility that I have, and I don't play with it.
Right.
I try to be a good steward of that. From the time I open my eyes until the time I close them at night, I try to make sure that I'm impacting in the right way.
All right. Let's talk about some accolades, because you with that. So to get to where you are now, you would have to have a series of really, really prominent accolades. Nobody's just handing out sports director titles to people. It just doesn't work that way. You had to earn. So you stacked up a series of milestones and awards, Emmys, and things of that nature. To date, how do you feel about those accolades? Is it a checkpoint to where, okay, I'm on the right path, we're doing what we need to do? Or is it more of a thing of, okay, I expected to be in the place I'm at now. Now it's like, what's next? How are you looking at these?
I look at it as a blessing, man. A little bit about my story, man. When I graduated from the University of Missouri School of Journalism, and it is known as the top journalism school in the world. And so it's a great experience. I got great hands-on experience. The station that I worked at in college was an NBC station owned by the university, but they broadcast over mid-Missouri. And that's where I got my chops. But when I graduated, I could not find a job in television. It took me a year and a half to get my first TV job, and it was a news photographer. So I was the guy that
photojournalist.
I was a photojournalist. I was the guy that you saw running the camera for the reporter.
Gotcha.
And what I ended up doing, I always said that was the best and the worst thing, I guess, because I would take the camera, turn it on myself at the end of my shifts or on my off days, and put reports together based on things that I had been sent to do during the week. And I put a resume, reel, tape, whatever you want to call it, together, and I would bug the heck out of my news director. Finally, to the point where he was just like, all right, man, we got a job that just opened up in Dodge City, Kansas. A guy from Minnesota, his name's Andrew Lovelet. I think he's back here in Minnesota. He was filling the role. He left the role, and it left the vacancy for me to fill in Dodge City, Kansas, covering sports within a 2.5 hour radius of Dodge City. So I covered high school sports, JUCO sports, rodeo, whatever you want to think of for Dodge City, Kansas. And I remember coming to Minnesota for NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists. Every year they have a huge convention. 2015, it was here in Minnesota at the convention center in Minneapolis. And Boyd Hooper, my personal GOAT, one of my journalism heroes, he did 3 or 4 workshops during that week. If you know Boyd Hooper, one of the best storytellers of our generation, landed 10,000 stories on KARE every week. And I took those workshops with him, and it changed my whole perspective. And I went back to Dodge, and I was like, okay, how would I tell this story if I was Boyd Hooper? And I was like, okay, how would I tell this story if I was Black and I was Boyd Hooper? and I started to find my own style.
Right.
And from there, I started to win some awards, and some of the work that I was doing started to get recognition. And that carried over from Kansas to Dayton to Cincinnati. In Cincinnati, I was nominated for my first Emmy. Couple Emmys got nominated. Fast forward to here in Minnesota. Every year I've been here, I've been nominated for
every
Emmys.
single year. Yeah.
And finally won one last year.
That's okay.
And oh man, what a tremendous triumph that felt like, because you've just been chopping wood, and you finally win an Emmy. And that was dope. That was a dope moment for me. And it's something that I'm just like, once you do it, it's so funny. If you think back to AJ Brown, when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, the next day he was just like, okay, I did it.
Yeah, now what?
Now what? Okay, it happened. Now, and I think that's the thing where, you ask kind of like where I'm at. I think what he was kind of pointing at was the thrill wasn't the destination. The thrill was the journey.
Yeah.
And now he's accomplished this major feat, but like the journey is not over. And so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, the journey is not over. There's still so much more to accomplish in this thing.
Right.
I'm thankful for the accolades. I'm thankful for where God has brought me to this point. But man, I turned 35 in August.
Yeah, you got some things to do.
I still got plenty of living, God willing. I still got plenty of living and plenty of things that I want to achieve ahead of me.
Yeah. Has there been any viral moment or story that resonated with people in a way that totally surprised you? Like that's they really attached themselves to that? Like, is there one, like, cause I have, for me, I'm like, I couldn't believe certain things that people took and made it their own. And that's what I got the most praise off of. Is there something like that for you?
Okay. So when I was in Cincinnati, there was a series of stories I did on, there was this Black head coach of this pretty prominent high school called Princeton in Cincinnati. And he took the football team to the playoffs for like the first time in very long time. Started getting this like sustained success. Started churning out like NFL talent, like left tackle for the Arizona Cardinals, Paris Johnson.
Wow.
He went to Princeton.
Okay.
And so he was getting mentored by this NFL coach, Hugh Jackson. And that story kind of took off. And I was just like, man, like I felt like it was a big deal at the time, but it really kind of took off. And that was something that I thought was really dope. Also, there was a story I did in Cincinnati where I kind of talked about the history of the Negro Leagues in Cincinnati. And there were people who kind of knew, but there were so many people who really didn't know.
Had no idea, yeah.
And that was a story that really resonated with people and that's the powerful part of telling stories and why I love telling stories. I work at KARE 11. KARE 11 is known as one of the best storytelling stations in the country. And to now be able to, one of my storytelling heroes, as I said, was Boyd Hoopert. To now be a teammate of his and now to call him friend, like I've had dinner at this man's house. And I'm just like, what? Are we serious? He came to my baby shower. Like, these are really cool deals. But the power of storytelling can really change lives.
Absolutely.
Can really change lives. I think that's something to me that really just kind of resonates. Like, you tell a story, you make a difference. And, one of the coolest stories that I kind of knew it was going to be that, but one of the recent ones that I've done, my coworker Gary Knox made a tweet about Paige Beckers when she was in the 6th grade.
Yep.
Well, he had never talked to anybody about this, but his tweet has gone viral so many times as Paige just continues to climb the ladder of achievement. So I finally, right before Paige got drafted, sat down with him. Yeah. It was a great conversation.
That's a great interview.
It was a great conversation, and that kind of took off.
Yeah.
I know it's a long-winded answer, but the last thing I'll say, last year, my team and I had just a conversation of how we could take our sports coverage to the next level. And, being a journalist, we were always taught, and I would like to consider myself a journalism purist, if you will. We were always taught that the story is never about us. So the best storytellers, I feel like, get out of the way and let what the subject of the story is tell the story. Well, I think as journalism has evolved, there is a way to put our own perspectives onto what we're doing. And you talked about Hot Dish. Hot Dish was born last year. And it was a way of me being able to really kind of get a little bit underneath the headlines and really kind of just not really go there, but just go there.
Right.
And it's been a success. My teammate Julia Daniels, Juju, she came up with Bad Juju as a way of really kind of bringing her personality to it. She won an Emmy for her work last year. And we were like, okay, we all need to come up with something. So my coworker, Will Hall, he came up with Will's Word, and mine was Reggie's Hot Dish. And so if you watch Vikings Extra, if you watch Timberwolves Extra, we'll have our last Timberwolves Extra since the Wolf season is now over. There's a hot dish at the end of every show. And it's a way to call attention and really just kind of give my perspective, how I see it through my lens of a hot topic in the world of sport. The Vikings, Timberwolves, on our sports extra shows on Friday, it's just about anything happening in sports, just my spin. And it's not like a first take type thing where you're just yelling into the void about something. It's something that's a little bit more thought out, because I grew up enjoying shows like Real Sports where, at the end of Real Sports, Brian Gumbel gave his last opinion.
Yep.
I always thought that was powerful.
Yeah.
Scott Van Pelt, at night, he has this one big thing.
Yep.
It's like an essay, if you will.
Bob Costas
verbal essay.
too.
Bob Costas, yes.
Yep.
I think we all kind of learned from Bob in that. But it was a way for me to put my own spin on a current headline. Right. And I think people have really taken to Hot Dish. Like, people are like, oh, man, we look forward to Hot Dish.
I do.
We look forward to Bad Juju and Hot Dish every week. And it's just like, wow, like something that we created to really just kind of take our skills over the top was something that has really been received well.
The few things about what I love about sports is the parallels between life and specifically team sports and being a part, the team being more important than the sum of its parts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you just touched on that without even, you talked about your team, which is a good mark of a great leader and a good teammate.
Love my team, man. Love my team.
Let's talk about the home team. So you and your wife are the preeminent journalism team. To be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, so you guys and you do a lot for the community, a lot of things that are, helping to pour into the youth, which I think is obviously important for you and your wife, but it's important for the next generation to get these things and these jewels from you guys. How do you see and define your legacy with journalism and the optics of being a great teammate, specifically for a husband and wife? Because whether you know it or not, the optics of that is very powerful.
Yeah. I think if you ask both of us, we both didn't think we would marry journalists.
Right.
Like, that's just not, it makes sense now that we're together, but.
Yeah, it wasn't in the cards.
No, but she is a phenomenal person. I always say I'm married to like the next Oprah. She's the Alexis Rogers. That is, she is somebody. Okay, she's a force.
Mm-hmm.
I learned the importance and the love of community from her. She has always just been. I remember there was one year we were in Cincinnati and she did 1,000 events in a calendar year. And it was just like, how do you find the time? Like, how do you find the time? But it's something that she's passionate about. It's not performative.
Right.
She truly cares about that. And that inspired me. I'm like, man, what more can I be doing to be impacting people and boots on the ground?
Yeah.
And I think journalism is about the people. And so many times there are journalists who telling people's stories, that's their contribution to community. And that sometimes they feel like it starts and ends there. It's like, well, I went into this neighborhood and told this story, and I tell stories every day representing communities. That's my contribution. When I'm off work, now that's my time. But I'm serving the community on my hours of work.
Right.
And then they go home and, they do whatever they do. Respect to them, the more power to them, not saying that there's something wrong with that per se, but I think, community to me, we go to church with people that we, are on their TVs every day.
Mm-hmm. And
they tell us that, it means something to see me praise and worshiping with somebody who watches me on TV every day. Oh, they just like me, And I think that's important. It's important when there are events at schools and events at community centers and, serving food to less fortunate or, whatever the event may be.
Mm-hmm.
It's important for people like us to show up because we have to let the people know that we're not just reporting on their communities. We are a part of their communities.
Right. Because
you let us into your homes to have conversations with you. You let us into your homes being on your TV. We almost like owe it to the people who we serve to really serve.
Right.
And I think that's something that, I learned from my wife and something that is now a very important part of what I do. And it's a very important part of what we do because there's a certain kind of joy that comes from serving people where you can take the attention and the thought, some days when I am so heavy laden with my own stuff is the best opportunity to get in the community and serve others because for that amount of time, it gives you a perspective, one, of what other people are going through. Maybe your problem, your problems may be big, but, dang, like this person.
You have no idea.
Yeah. So it shifts the focus.
Right.
But it also gives you a sense of gratitude.
And some purpose.
And I think that's something that you just can't put a price on. That's something that is invaluable.
Yeah.
Just being people, being productive, Christians, being productive members of society and community.
Yeah, the act of servitude, it's everything I do is all of my many tools in the toolbox that God has bestowed upon me are to serve others, including this platform. So
Yeah.
it's everything about what I do is shining light elsewhere.
Yeah.
And I get so much from it though.
Yeah.
You know, it's an but not the way that people think. So the community, the conversations, and then the just seeing myself in the work of just being a good steward is everything to me. Everything.
Yeah.
So before I let you go, we're gonna play something I call the lightning round.
All right. Here we
Okay,
go.
so this is going to be a quick fire round.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a list of things or phrases, and then you're going to give me the first thing that pops into your mind.
Okay.
Cool?
Yo.
All right. All right. Favorite athlete you've ever interviewed?
Ooh. Dang, this is supposed to be quick, huh? Favorite athlete I've ever interviewed. Wow, this is tough. You know what? Just for the sake of he just being a great dude, I'll go Justin Jefferson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great one. Okay. Most overrated sports cliche.
They came to play.
They came to play. Look, that is by far. That's number.
Like, yeah, they came to play. Like, they came to play today. Like, you know, a team goes up 21-0, and they're like, oh, they came to play. Like, the other team came to play too. They just came to play, and it didn't work out as well.
Absolutely. They got hosed. First meal you ever cooked for your wife?
It was salmon and asparagus. And I think a little rice. It was my first time, or it might have been like potatoes of some sort, but it was my first time ever. I know she said she likes salmon, so I cooked some salmon in a cast iron. I think I looked at a recipe online somewhere, and I was like, oh yeah, I could do that. And so I cooked the salmon and then cooked some asparagus. I think I got a picture of her with the plate, but that was like the first ever plate that I ever cooked. I think it was a Valentine's Day meal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you went big on Valentine's.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. I like to cook, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. Pre-game playlist banger. What's that one hype joint to pre-game with?
Pre-game playlist banger. Probably like there's a song by KB, 10K.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. I like 1K Few, Church House, Trap House.
Okay.
That bangs.
That sounds like it bang.
It bangs as well. Yeah. Yeah, those are my jams.
Okay. And if you could give a few words of advice to your 13-year-old self, what would you say?
Hang in there. Hang in there. I know it looks crazy right now. Your dad just passed. You seem like you don't really have a direction. But hang in there because it gets better. It gets better.
Absolutely. So you got to tell everyone out here listening and watching where they can follow you and catch up with all the things you got going on. So please tell everybody where they can find you at.
Yeah, I'm at Reggie Wilson TV on all platforms. I haven't gotten into the TikTok deal yet. I know it's big, but that hasn't happened yet.
It's a full-time
it probably
job.
will
It's a full-time
at some
job.
point.
It's a full-time
as
job.
the media landscape changes. I'm probably gonna have to get on TikTok, but Blue Sky, X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, IG. I'm at Reggie Wilson TV.
Okay. And obviously on KARE11.
Absolutely. Yeah. KARE11 as well. Yeah. At Reggie Wilson TV.
Absolutely. So again, thank you so much for coming to the platform. I had an amazing time.
Yeah,
Great
this was
talking
fun,
to you.
man.
Absolutely. Check out Reggie every night on KARE11 as well as on the socials. Again, Reggie Wilson TV on everything, including TikTok, soon to come. He's about to get all the dances and everything good.
Oh, Lord.
Again, I also want to give a shout out to your lovely wife and your soon to come, baby girl.
Yeah, we're weeks away from me having a daughter in this world. That is crazy.
Welcome to Team Girl Dad. So
that's probably going to be the reason why I'm on TikTok soon.
There you go.
Yeah.
For sure. Absolutely. All right. This has been the Taste Music Here Food Podcast Show. Until next time, peace.
MBC. No relation to NBC.